Long before Hollywood perfected the blockbuster, one studio in Hong Kong quietly produced over 1,000 films, who would later inspire a generation of filmmakers and modern fight choreography without ever seeking credit. Today, we're counting down the 10 greatest Shaw Brothers martial arts films ever created. And the top spot belongs to a movie whose technique, mystery, and choreography reshaped the entire genre in a way most fans never realized. Before we begin, here's a challenge. If you could show just one Shaw Brothers movie to someone who's never touched classic kung fu cinema, which film would you pick? Drop your answer below, then let's start. Number 10. Five Elements Ninjas. What happens when survival hinges on understanding your enemy's nature? The film throws its heroes into a labyrinth of elemental assassins, each fight turning the environment into a weapon. The film doesn't just showcase combat, it reveals the psychology of facing opponents who warp the battlefield itself. There's a brutal honesty in the way characters fall, not from weakness, but from underestimating what they think they understand. Every trap becomes a lesson, every ambush a reminder that adaptation is the real martial art. Pain teaches faster than pride. For viewers, the film is a masterclass in recognizing patterns under pressure and refusing to freeze when the unexpected hits. Learn to read the elements around you. Awareness saves lives. Number 9. The Boxer from Shantung. Sometimes ambition is the deadliest opponent in the room. The movie follows Ma Yongzhen, a migrant fighter who claws his way upward through grit, pride, and stubborn belief in his own fists. But as the battles grow bloodier, the film reveals that power doesn't rise, it consumes. What begins as a chase for respect slowly mutates into a struggle for identity, forcing Ma to confront the cost of every victory. There's a tragic beauty in his ascent, each punch sounding like a reminder that nothing earned through violence stays clean. His final stand is exhilarating and heartbreaking. For anyone wrestling with the weight of their own goals, this story warns that success can whisper and scream at the same time. Choose your climb wisely. Number 8. Clan of the White Lotus. Some enemies don't just overpower you, they outgrow your entire style. Clan of the White Lotus begins as a revenge tale, but transforms into a study of evolution under pressure. Pai Mei's invincible technique isn't treated like a simple threat. It's a wall the heroes repeatedly crash into, forcing them to rethink what strength even means. Each failed attempt reveals a new layer of discipline, showing how progress often demands humiliation before mastery. The film's quiet brilliance lies in how it frames training as survival, not ritual. Every movement must change, every assumption must die. And that's the film's quiet power. It shows how true growth often requires shedding what once defined you. When the world changes faster than you can react, only reinvention keeps you alive. Number 7. Heroes of the East. What begins as a marital misunderstanding explodes into a cross-cultural clash fought through technique, pride, and honor. Heroes of the East doesn't thrive on hostility, it thrives on the beauty of contrast. Each challenge from the Japanese masters becomes a mirror, reflecting not only differences in style, but differences in worldview. Instead of treating combat as destruction, the film frames it as a dialogue, one conducted through skill rather than words. Every duel refines the protagonist, carving away arrogance and sharpening respect. In the end, the movie reminds us that confrontation isn't always a breaking point. Sometimes, it becomes the unexpected bridge that turns rivalry into clarity and misunderstanding into growth. Number 6. Crippled Avengers. Some stories find strength in suffering, but this one forges it from ruin. Crippled Avengers begins with cruelty, Four men mutilated not by fate, but by another man's twisted sense of justice. Yet instead of collapsing, they rebuild themselves through relentless training, transforming their disabilities into sharpened abilities. The film's impact doesn't come from spectacle alone. It comes from witnessing resilience, redefine identity. Every sequence shows how the body can break, but the will refuses to stay shattered. Their unity becomes their armor, their adaptability a quiet rebellion against the world that tried to limit them. What lingers long after the final fight is the realization that empowerment isn't given, it's reclaimed, rebuilt through patience, pain, and unyielding resolve. If this deep dive into Shaw Brothers' mastery hits with precision, show your strength. Drop a like and join our circle of martial arts storytellers. Your support keeps these legendary breakdowns alive and helps new viewers rediscover the roots of classic kung fu cinema. Which Shaw Brothers film deserves the crown in your rankings? Share it in the comments. Every warrior has their own favorite style. And if you crave even more action, check out our top martial arts movies of all time playlist after this video. Continue your journey through the greatest fights ever filmed. Number 5. The 8-diagram pole fighter. Grief hits harder than any blade, and this film turns sorrow into its sharpest weapon. The 8-diagram pole fighter follows a lone survivor of a devastated family, carrying trauma like a shadow stitched to his skin. The choreography feels ceremonial, each pole strike echoing the weight of everything he's lost. The movie blends rage with reflection, shaping martial arts into a form of healing rather than vengeance alone. Watching the protagonist retrain himself is like witnessing someone relearn how to breathe after drowning. And in that transformation lies the film's true power. It shows how discipline can rebuild a person when grief threatens to hollow them out. Strength in this story is born from surviving the unthinkable. Number 4. Come Drink With Me. Some films don't just introduce a hero, they reshape the entire idea of one. Come Drink With Me follows Golden Swallow, a warrior whose presence is as precise as her blade. The film blends elegance with danger, letting every movement carry both grace and threat. Unlike many martial arts stories, this one breathes through its quiet moments. The tension in a tavern, the calm before a strike, the unspoken recognition between rivals. What makes it unforgettable is how it frames strength, not as noise, but as control. Golden Swallow never overwhelms the scene, she owns it with poise. By the final act, the movie feels less like an action tale and more like a reminder that true power doesn't always roar. It steadies, waits, and chooses the perfect moment to strike. Number 3. Five Fingers of Death. Before the genre exploded worldwide, this film lit the fuse. Five Fingers of Death follows a young fighter thrust into a conflict far bigger than himself, shaping his journey through betrayal, ambition, and awakening skill. The iconic training sequences don't just build strength, they build purpose, turning raw emotion into disciplined technique. Each confrontation carries a sense of escalation, as if the world keeps daring him to become more than he believes he can be. The film's signature strikes feel less like gimmicks and more like declarations of identity, earned through sweat and pain. And when everything finally comes together, the story hits with a clarity that still resonates today. Growth often demands walking through fire, and only persistence transforms adversity into mastery. Number 2. The 36th Chamber of Shaolin. Few films capture transformation the way this one does. The 36th Chamber of Shaolin follows Shantung, a young man broken by oppression, who enters Shaolin not to gain power, but to rebuild the pieces of himself that fear shattered. The training sequences aren't just trials, they're metaphors for discipline shaping identity. Each chamber confronts him with a weakness he didn't know he had, and each triumph feels carved from patience rather than talent. What makes the film timeless is how it turns growth into something physical, something earned through repetition, humility, and unwavering intent. By the time Sante creates the legendary 36th chamber, the message becomes unmistakable. Mastery means lifting others, not outpacing them. Number 1. Five Deadly Venoms. Some movies entertain you, this one hypnotizes you. Five Deadly Venoms weaves mystery, tension, and martial arts into a story where loyalty fractures and identity hides behind masks. Each of the five fighters embodies a unique style: poison, toad, snake, scorpion, and centipede, turning every clash into a puzzle of technique versus intention. The film thrives on uncertainty, letting suspicion drive the narrative as much as combat. What elevates it beyond its era is how it treats skill and morality as separate forces, constantly colliding. Watching the hero navigate deception feels like witnessing someone walk through a maze where every turn could be fatal. And in the end, its impact lingers because it proves something rare. Style is memorable, but myth is eternal. 10 films, 10 philosophies, and 10 ways the Shaw brothers revolutionized martial arts storytelling, each one a blueprint that filmmakers still study today. From wounded rebels to masked assassins, these movies reveal the heart of Shaw brothers cinema, not just fists and fury, but legacy, identity, and the relentless fight to rise. Every clash carries its own lesson: adaptation, resilience, brotherhood, reinvention, coming together as a lineage that reshaped action cinema forever. If you're hungry for more journeys through martial arts history, from kung fu legends to the cinematic warriors who followed, stay tuned. The action and the wisdom never stop here. Hit subscribe and keep your stance steady for our next countdown.